We're living in a fairy tale in the middle of the sea. I'm so for real, sipping my ginger ale, and I'm on a cloud. And I am not coming down. I am not coming down as long as you around. On a cloud.
Hey y'all, thank you so much for coming to my channel. My name is Talia Tees, and welcome to the table. Tonight we'll be reviewing The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 11, Episode 17. So let's go ahead and get talkative. So we open up with a montage of all the ladies at their homes being greeted by one of PK's friends, Rhino, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but in his cute little British accent, he invites all the ladies to an evening of glamour and romance. So that's actually for Dorits' wedding dress launch. So we did get to kind of preview some of those on the last episode, but she's going to make it official and invite the ladies and present it to them. So over at Dorits' house, we see Ryan, the party planner, arriving, and they start kind of talking about the weather because this is supposed to be an outdoor event. But, Tony said, it never rains in Southern California. Shout out to the Bay. But unfortunately, it's raining cats and dogs out there, so they're going to have to come up with a plan B. Now, she's coming up with like a wedding-themed party for the release of the wedding gowns, and I really think this sounds like a super dope concept. I never really have seen any type of a rollout in the fashion world like this. So shout out to Dorit, and I can't wait to see how this shapes up. So over at Kathy's house, we see her prepping for the ladies. There's going to be like this nice spa day at her house, and Kyle enters. Now, as Kyle is standing there, Kathy starts to show us the intricate ways in which she communicates with her dog, Sue. So Kathy's on the ground, spreading her legs out. They're howling at each other. And as this, weird exchange is going on, Rena and Ericka walks in. And of course, it's Kathy. So we all just chuckle. And by the way, I like that blue, casual yet loud sweatsuit that Ericka has on. I think that is so cute. So the lady is basically letting them know what kind of services they're going to get. And she starts talking about masks infused with minerals and gemstones, and everything's charged up with Reiki energy and 24 karat. Now, what is all of that? And if that's what's got Kathy Hilton looking like Caitlyn Jenner, I don't want none of it. I don't want none of that. I don't want none of that on my face. No, thank you. Now, as Rena starts getting her facial, she starts to kind of look like like Silence of the Lamb, like some type of a muzzle over her mouth. And Rena agrees that she should probably frequent this because, girl, shut it. You need to shut that mouth. Now, as Kathy's getting her facial done, the lady's like giving us all these chants and stuff. And Kathy's like, girl, I don't even be listening to all that. I be zoning out, and this is nap time for me. So all that Najee Ramba and Ramba, hey, that she's not into that. So then we see Ericka and Kyle kind of off to the side talking. You know how they do. Kyle always got to pull somebody to the side to try to get, the party going. So she asked her about Sutton again, which at this point, if you don't see that it's clear that Ericka is just not interested in dealing with that girl, I don't know anything. Like, Kyle, leave it alone. But Ericka reiterates, she's not interested in anything with Sutton. That's a done deal. But then she gives us this dramatic pause. And I swear, when she does this to us, I feel like there's like something going off in her head that's like, okay, baby, action, give it to him. So she gives us this dramatic pause, and then she gets right to it. So Tom confronted an intruder, and as a result, had to have eye surgery. I sent my son over there to see him because, I can't see him. And he rolled his car 5 times. So Kyle immediately goes, what? Because what, Ericka? Like, oh my God, with these fantastic stories, like, I just don't see how she doesn't see that this is not helping her. So then Ericka goes, yeah, this happened like Saturday. So Kyle kind of, does the math, and she's like, well, wait, so back up. So when you came to Garcelle's house, you knew about all of this? And Ericka goes, yeah, I didn't really want to talk about it. So then in Kyle's confessional, because, Kyle's a punk, she can't say nothing to this girl face. She says that, she's sensing a bit of a pattern with Ericka. They spend time with her, and then they find out later on that there was some huge catastrophe of an issue going on in the background of her life. And honestly, it just makes it really hard for her to support her when information is being withheld. And it's just like, come on, Kyle, you're just now arriving at this conclusion. This girl has been putting out weird, unrealistic stories since this all started. From the beginning, everything that she's saying just doesn't make sense. And typically, if it don't make sense. So welcome to the party, Kyle. But this is where most of the people have been. So Ericka continues with, I got a call at 3 a.m., but I didn't actually get it until 6. And it was from the police that he had confronted a burglar, then had to have eye surgery. I was just kind of looking at her like in disbelief. And so she continues with, I think it's his glaucoma and the pressure and anxiety from that, but I haven't talked to him, but he said, so which one is it, Ericka? Because first of all, in my opinion, this is a little bit of too much detail for someone that doesn't have contact with him. So to me, this lets us know you are still very much so in communications with Tom. So that's one inconsistency right there, because are you talking to him or are you not? And also, why would the police be calling you first? It's just doesn't make sense. But I hope that you all caught when she said, but he said, as she was talking to Kyle, but she stopped herself. But she did say, but he said, as if you were the one having the conversation with him. Girl, you gotta watch it. She ends the tall tale by talking about how, it had been snowing in Pasadena. So when her son went over there to check on him, that was what caused his car to flip over 5 times. So then we get another shot of Kyle in her confessional saying that, she has all these questions like, so why did the police call you? And what were the, conditions? Like questions that we all have been having, right? And basically she just concludes that the story is unbelievable, because it is. But then in the same breath actually says, but I do believe her. It's like, well, what is it, Kyle? I don't understand how these ladies can literally sit there and scratch their heads when she gives this information in these stories, but still come to the conclusion that they want to still trust that she is saying everything right. Like, wow. Over at Garcelle's, Damona, the dating coach, arrives. And by the way, I just love Garcelle's house. I really thought it was going to be a little basic last season when they were building it up. But now that it is fully completed and furnished, this is a beautiful home. Like, real talk. But Garcelle kind of talks about, how trust issues kind of kept her from dating, and, how she's trying to, kind of get herself back out there. But she's very old school. So she likes the idea of a matchmaker versus, the new age version of, swiping left and right and all that stuff with those apps. So then she starts kind of, listing some of the things she wants. She wants strong, confident man, good with his mom, good with his kids, has his own life. Girl, don't we all? So they pull up this picture of Keith, and Keith got the abs, and Garcelle damn near jumped out her seat when that man came up there. Like, girl, slow down, relax. So we look forward to the day, girl, and obviously you do too. So now we're at Crystal's house, and Kyle comes over. So Crystal takes us down into the basement, and she talks about how, basically they're trying to finish, her and Rob are trying to finish this 1,800 square foot basement. Now, when they get done, y'all listen to this. It's going to have a golf simulator, wine cellar, high-end game room, a full kitchen, bar, movie theater. Oh my gosh. So she said it's definitely going to be 6 figures. Originally, it was about $1 million, but they were able to knock some stuff off to get it down to $500,000. Yes, that's a life that I soon look forward to being in, because I can't even imagine just blowing $500,000 just on the lower level of my house. Lord. So she says that she's a frugal person, but if it's something that will appreciate, she doesn't mind spending money on it. Like, for example, some of them handbags, like that one handbag that she had, it was a Hermes little bitty cute bag, $95,000. And she's smart, because if you do invest in some of those pieces, they can appreciate in value over time. So she said, hey, if it's a bag or a basement, I'm going to go ahead and invest in it. So then Kyle, because Kyle, this is all she do. She brings up Garcelle's party again. And, she kind of starts talking about how she doesn't like the fakeness. She doesn't like that, basically Ericka and Sutton are in the room together and not talking, and clearly there's tension. And Kyle, really what it comes down to is you're a shit disturber and you like drama. So you feel like if they're not all the way cool, they should be arguing every time we're around. It's like, girl, in real life, grown women can be around women that they don't like, and it doesn't have to get turned up every single time they're around each other. If you grown, period. So then she also starts to bring up how Garcelle kind of called her out, because if we remember on the last episode, Kyle kept saying, if you're saying things that are basically testing my character, or saying that I'm a liar or a thief or etc., say those things to me. Don't just go around talking about it. And Garcelle kind of pulled her card and said, well, I'm triggered because, that's what you did to me last year. You went on the reunion and you told everybody that I didn't pay the charity money that I said that I would, but you didn't have that personal conversation with me. And Garcelle was right. Practice what you preach. If you would like to have full disclosure and transparency in your face, you have to give that to everybody else too. Practice what you preach. And Crystal flip-flopping ass says that she doesn't really see the exclusion, but because Garcelle, doesn't really have a lot of friends, it's probably indicative to issues that she's had with females, which causes her to be guarded. And also, Garcelle may just be hanging on to, what happened last year. Blah, blah, blah. Crystal, it just officially gets on my nerves, because what does that have to do with what Garcelle said? I mean, regardless of all of that and past issues that she's had in friendships, what's wrong with Garcelle just holding her accountable? Kyle, you said you want somebody to do that for you. Well, you didn't do that for me. I don't get it. But anyway, Kyle is a hypocrite, and this is not anything new. So we open up back at Kyle's, and we see Maurizio and Kyle doggy style on the floor, because real girls get down on the floor. So shout out to David Banner and Lil Flip. But Maurizio said he like it like that, because they some freaks. So we see this nice soothing rain just falling down. Oh my God, it just looks so good. As Dorit and her man PK pulls up. So they come in, and, I just love that bitch please light in Kyle's hallway. Like, I think that is just so cool like that. It's just unexpected. But anywho, as they get in and they, express their pleasantries and they greet each other, Kyle and Dorit kind of start talking to each other. And she tells her about the situation that Ericka spoke on how Tom had an intruder. He confronted him, ended up going to the hospital, and then her son rode his car. So Dorit, like everybody, is like, what? So they end up moving on. PK and Maurizio come in and they start eating. So now let's get down to the nitty gritty, because this is where it gets good. So Dorit starts saying to PK, Kyle, she just told me this crazy story. Apparently, Tom had an intruder and he ended up confronting him. And then, immediately PK asks, well, how did Ericka know? Thank you, PK. Thank you. This should be the first thing on everybody's mind. Like, first of all, no, the first thing is, whoa, this is a far-fetched story. But then the second thing is, but how does Ericka know all these details? So Dorit then goes on and says, but wait, the story gets crazier. So her son his car flipped 6 times. Now they adding a little yeast because that girl definitely said 5, but you gotta make it a little bit more interesting. So then Maurizio, he just comes out and says, "Is this a real story?" So Kyle is like, "Yes, she told me this is a real story." So then Dorit chimes back in because, Dorit just love to talk. And she says, basically she told us this story in La Quinta about another collision that had taken place involving Tom. And Tom actually ended up needing to have brain surgery as a result. But Ericka said no because he was unconscious. So PK finally makes the connection that basically they just love to use a good old collision for a good story. And he's basically like, statistically, it's just impossible that your son and your husband will end up in a situation where their cars are rolling multiple times and people getting up and walking away from it like, everything's all good. So Dorit is like, "So are you saying that you don't believe her?" And PK, again, trying to skirt around it a little bit. He said he believes that she's been in a controlling relationship for such a long time that, basically she just still going with it. Tom said a lie and she's just rocking with it. So Maurizio, again, and I love me some Maurizio because Maurizio be high as a kite. But when he comes through, I always just love to hear what he has to say because it's always short, sweet, simple, but on point. So he goes, "It's just lies all over the place." Maurizio, yes. It's just a whole web of deceit. It is just a big old web. Oh, Lord. So then Kyle says, hearing her husband and PK's reaction, it kind of makes her question herself. And it's like, yeah, you should be because it's quite obvious. So Dorit continues and says that, basically she still believes her. Why would she make it up? It's crazy, yes, but why? What would be the reason for making it up? So then they start talking about, Erica's son and, PK. He just wants her to, have the comeback of all comebacks. But she needs to separate herself from this man in this life because it's just not working out for her. It really isn't. And poor Dorit, she just continues on and just, says that basically when Tom had that concussion, the doctor told her, "Look, we either going to have to perform surgery on his brain or his ankle." And when I tell you immediately, them men started to just explode in laughter because what? So in PK, he said it. He said he's a 79-year-old attorney, not a soccer player. So you mean to tell me they're like, no, forget his brain, get his ankles. And basically, they just continue to laugh as the ladies look stupid because seriously, when you put it in black and white and you take the emotions and the connection to the source out of it, it's very weird. It's very far-fetched and it does not make sense. And every single person that is not necessarily close to Ericka that sees this story or hears it, their reactions are all the same. It's only the people that have their heads up Ericka's ass that seem to not see it. A cute little montage of all the girls getting ready and, they're trying to get over to Dorit's place. Now, Dorit kind of goes and starts talking about how basically if it wasn't for COVID, she would have definitely made this a lot more of a grand spectacle. Also the rain kind of, literally rained on her parade. But even with all the hiccups, she let us know that she spared no expense. Now, I do like Erica's little red leopard print blazer. I think that is so cute. I love red and I love me a leopard or a cheetah print. So I like that. Now, Sutton and her boyfriend, David, they're on the way. But Sutton just kind of expresses that she's a little bit nervous. And rightfully so, because you've been getting your ass handed to you at pretty much every meeting that they've been having. So, yeah, I'd be a little nervous, too. And I probably would stop showing up at this point. But then we see Crystal and her husband arrive first. And I gotta say, this is a really dope concept. You don't really think about wedding, gown lines, but I think that this is really cool because it really does look like a wedding reception. So good job. Now, PK says that he can't get too much to drink because he gets to talking crazy, and I'm like, come on, PK, put on a show because we want to see it. And right as he says that, Ericka Jane's walking up, and it's an actual full suit. Okay, I kind of like that. I'm not even gonna lie, I like that. Now, Kyle and Maurizio, they get there, and then Sutton and her man arrive. And I wasn't really sure how that was going to work because Ericka has been so nasty. But I'm glad to see that, she was adult and, was decent. Then Garcelle comes in looking like a honey Dijon goddess, honey mustard. Then Kathy and her architect, Jesse, walk in. So I'm just trying to figure out who hangs out with their architect. Like, again, rich people shit, because what? So Rinna comes in, and I gotta say, as much as I can't stand them old flappy lips of hers, I love this look on her. I like when she does things other than that traditional Billy from Days of Our Lives flipped up helmet head look. I like when she kind of comes out of that. And then this green, I'm a sucker for some green. And this first stole, the brown hair, chocolate highlights. I like this whole look, Rinna, because you country as hell to me. But I really like this look on you. Now, one thing about Beverly Hills, they gonna bring the fashions. It ain't like Potomac, you gonna get, some good old eye candy. Now they get into the designs. They talk about the dresses, which they are all gorgeous. And little Phoenix even comes out as the flower girl. And it just really reminds me of me and my baby. Me and her, we be out here hustling. Shout out to the mixup.shop. So me and her, it's my little partner in crime. So seeing little Phoenix just, it pushes me even further to want to keep doing things with me and my baby. So they finally sit down and they eat. And the goose starts getting loose on my boy PK. Come on. So he says to Kyle, shall we share some of our jokes about Ericka? So Kyle, with her messy self, chuckles. And she says, go right ahead. Feel free. PK says, well, I didn't say anything bad. I gave advice. And so then they flash back to the dinner at Kyle's house where he's basically laughing his head off about the fact that, she told the doctor to fix his ankle instead of his brain. So Harry shows up, Harry Hamlin, Rinna's husband. And, as Harry's talking to Ericka, he's like, yeah, life has a lot of vicissitudes. And I'm a wordsmith, and I ain't never heard that one before in my life. So I look forward to dropping vicissitudes off. So those out there in my world, look out for vicissitudes. So Harry reveals that he's playing Tom Brokaw, and he's feeling a little bit of pressure because everybody loves Tom Brokaw, and he really wants to nail it. Now, meanwhile, Rinna's talking about how she's going to miss him because he does everything for her. And she really don't know what she gonna do. And he's probably happy to be gone. So then around this time of filming, the Bernie Sanders meme, where he's sitting there with his legs crossed and he just looks like this grumpy old man or whatever. So Kyle starts telling us how Kathy didn't know who he was and was asking her, and why did she think he was the Colonel, not KFC? She thought he was the Colonel. Kathy Hilton is just in a league of her own, but it is hilarious. So then the guys are outside and they ask PK, why'd you leave real estate? And PK was like, shit, I went broke. He said, before I go broke like Jock, I'll fuck with that dog like Vic. So then he tells the guys that he lost close to $2 billion. Damn, $2 billion? Who? But he says, well, technically, I didn't lose it. I just can't find it. And it's like, yeah, PK, you a shiesty ass man. That's why last week when he was talking that shit about Ericka, it's like, yeah, he would know. Because he's a nickel slick ass man, too. He be involved in the embezzlements and the white collars and the laundering. So he knows. He know. The girls are just kind of standing around talking to each other now. And Kyle says to Garcelle that she saw that, she said something that, might kind of cause a little controversy. And basically, Garcelle had an interview with Mario Lopez where in the video, she basically told him that, they're all coming from me. And Dorit asked her, why are you saying things like that? And why do you feel like we're coming at you? And Garcelle said, well, you did. The other day at Lisa Rinna's lit kit thing, you did. And they flashed back to her calling her basically a bully. Well, not basically, she did call her a bully. And, basically Garcelle said that interview was after that, and I just felt the way, and I said what I said. So Dorit says that she basically think that Garcelle makes things up that really aren't happening just to be provocative. And Garcelle, I kind of agree with her. Like with Garcelle, why is it that the way that I feel about something is wrong? Garcelle just simply wants to know why she can't have her own opinion. If it doesn't satisfy Dorit or is not in line with the way Dorit sees herself, then it's this big issue. Somebody's making something up, but you can't tell somebody how they feel about a situation that affected them. So then Dorit gonna say something, I speak 4 languages and that doesn't make sense in any of them. Dorit, stop it. How are you being bullied? But then you gonna sit here and almost kind of come off as an elitist because you speak 4 different languages and it doesn't make sense in any of them. Well, I'm gonna tell you in one language, I don't give a damn. And if you don't like my opinion, then you can get the fuck on, So Dorit, get out of here. So Garcelle just basically said, basically don't come for me. And did nobody ever takes my side. Like Sutton's the only one that ever stands up for me. And, as they're going on and on, Ericka and Rinna, they're sitting back at the table just listening. And they're just joking about how they ain't really trying to get involved. And, they kind of flash back. And Dorit's like, I just don't believe that you're an outsider. And as Garcelle's in her, confessional, she starts talking about how, they never have her back. They never say anything. And look at Rinna now. She's just sitting back. Now, Garcelle, I really need you to let this go with Rinna. Rinna showed her ass last year. And then this year, you really came off cold. I really feel like Rinna tried to overcompensate because she really didn't want to get told off or anything. And she tried to nip it in the bud quickly. But you held her accountable and told her, no, this will take time. So is it going to take time or is it not? Because if it's going to take time, I don't understand why you looking for her. It's like you want her to kiss your ass to get back in good graces. And that's not cool. Just move on. So, as they keep kind of, going back and forth, Rinna basically says that, hey, she can take Dorit. I don't need to say nothing to her. And I agree. Dorit is lightweight. Dorit is lightweight. And it basically just ends with Dorit saying, just tell me to shut up if you want me to. Just shut the F up. And so I'm just sitting here looking like, girl, quit lying. If she was to have just outright just said that to you, then you would have probably continued to call her a bully. So just stop it. So that's the end of it. That was the end of this episode. And what are your thoughts on that? What do you feel about friendships and just kind of having that blind loyalty like that? Do you believe that because you're friends with someone, you should just remove all logic and just go with whatever it is that they have to say, and you just have to stand 10 toes down and just support it? I'm just curious to think what y'all think. I'm Talia Tees. Thank you so much for coming to the table and getting talkative with me. Be blessed. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for listening.